You know what I wonder? One of the things I wonder is why, when we have conflict and difficult conversations, why is the natural response to try and change the other person's response to the conflict? Do you know what I'm saying? Usually, we fall within three realms when we're having difficult conversations and when we're having difficult times. Okay? These three realms are either we have a lot of emotions, we have an intense feeling of emotion, we are very solution oriented, or we need to understand the bright side, the silver lining, the light at the end of the tunnel. Everybody's response falls somewhere along those 3 points of reactivity. So just think real quick about how you usually respond to conflict. Are you very emotionally intense? Are you very emotionally driven? Do your emotions create such a distraction for you that you really can't function until you've processed how you feel? Or are you immediately springing into action? Do you immediately think about, okay, what is the problem? What is the solution? Let me go directly to the solution. Or are you a person that immediately starts to talk about what there is to be thankful for, what there is to be joyful about, what you still have? Are you immediately connected to the bright side of things? Which one is your response? Because one of the things that I want to share with you is that whatever your natural response is the right response. Whatever your natural response is essential to resolving the conflict and growing the environment that the conflict has happened in. Let that sink in for a minute. I know that that is counterintuitive. I know that that seems different from what we've always heard our whole lives. We always tell the emotional people to calm down, that it's not that crucial. Get out your feelings. We always tell the solution-oriented people to consider everybody else's feelings and to consider how everybody else feels. And we sometimes want them to slow down and not be so connected to the solution. And then we tell the bright side people, hey, you're not in reality. You're not going deep enough. You're not really facing the problem. However, every person's response, no matter where you fall on that spectrum, is the response that is necessary to evolve the relationship and the situation. Okay? And I want to tell you why that is. Let's start with the emotional people. Emotionally intense people are alarm clocks for what needs to change in the situation. If you've ever been discouraged for having emotions, let me tell you right now, I honor your emotions. I value your emotions because within your emotional response is information that can grow the humanity and raise the morale of the relationship, the environment, the organization, wherever you're having your emotional reaction. Okay? Within your emotional response is information that can raise the morale and grow the humanity of whatever the situation is. Okay? Here is the opportunity. If you are in a relationship with an emotionally intense person, here's what you should understand. An emotionally intense person usually feels that way because in some way they have experienced a trigger that has crossed a boundary for them. And emotionally intense people, you guys understand what I'm saying. Usually that boundary gets crossed so fast and it's such a surprise that the emotions overwhelm you because you're like, what? I was not expecting this. I was not prepared for the way that this boundary was just crossed. I was not prepared for the way that someone reached into a space that they were not invited. I was not prepared for the way that my humanity was just violated. I was not prepared for that. And so I'm having an emotionally intense reaction to communicate the depth of my shock and also the importance that the boundary that was crossed, okay? So when understanding an emotionally intense person, the first thing that we have to do is not tell them not to be emotional and not tell them to get out their feelings, but to ask them what just happened to trigger those emotions, what boundary was just crossed, so that we can then glean from the information that their emotions bring us. How is their emotion an alarm clock for you? Okay? And so it may be hard to do this, but give them a minute to have their emotions. Give them a minute to express how they feel, because beneath how they feel is a event or an experience that needs to change. And if we dismiss their emotions, we miss that information. Now, the opportunity for the emotionally intense person is to communicate your emotions in a way that is constructive and not destructive. The opportunity that exists is that you can really bring about the change that your emotions is communicating needs to happen in a way that builds the relationship and in a way that builds the environment. However, you may need to take a break to really get clear on how you feel and why, and then gather the words to communicate that to the person that you need to share it with. And that way, your emotions can become clear information about how the morale, how the humanity, and how the environment needs to change. So you have a genuine opportunity to be a contribution, and your emotions are an asset that you can leverage to make a meaningful contribution towards positive change. Okay, so those are the emotional people. Now, you got your solution-oriented people. These are the folks who go directly to what the problem is and directly to the solution. And these people can be rather blunt. It can seem like they're skipping over the humanity, they're skipping over the emotions, skipping over the human stuff just to get to the problem. And these people are often told that they are stoic or rigid. They're often told that they act like robots, you know. Now, it's important to understand that these folks are so emotionally connected to what's going on that they want to end the negative feelings as soon as possible by offering the solution. I'm in this group. I do have emotions, you know, but I cry later. I'm going to bring, because I feel like unless I learn how to cry dollar bills, my tears are not going to really change anything, right? So until I learn how to start crying dollars to provide some kind of power, financial power to change the situation, I'm usually going to act in a way that is constructive first, and then I'm going to cry in the bed later on, okay? So emotionally intense people often look at the solution-oriented people like, don't nobody want to talk about a solution right now. I'm still in my feelings. It's important for the person who is dealing with or engaged with a solution-oriented person to know that that person is trying to find a solution because they care, okay? And so instead of telling them to stop seeking the solution, allow them to focus on what they're focusing on, and even have that dialogue with them about what they're focusing on, and understand that their focus and what's driving their focus is an emotional connection to solving the problem for folks that they love. Now, if you are the solution-oriented person, your opportunity is to communicate how you feel in a way that is connected to your behavior. My heart is so broken for what is happening right now that I cannot sit still. I have to do something. I am so angry at what happened to you that I am on the computer right now Googling solutions out of anger, and my anger is rooted in my love for you. So that's the opportunity that the solution-oriented person has, is to communicate while they still find the solution. But we need someone to be actively seeking out the chink in the chain, right? Where that chink in the chain happened and what needs to happen to fortify that chain again. So it's important for us to not stop the solution-oriented people, because without them, we would belabor the conflict and not come to the resolution. as quickly as we could and get back to having fun, which brings me to the light at the end of the tunnel people, the people who are very optimistic and considering what is positive and what is, joyful about the situation. These folks get a bad rap because it seems like they're not facing reality. These are the folks who they praise him in the midst of the storm. These are the folks who find reasons to laugh and find reasons to play and find reasons to connect even when it seems like everything is just going to crap, right? Now, these folks are interesting because it feels like they are avoiding what's really happening. What these people are avoiding is their worst fear coming true and being overwhelmed with sadness. These folks are avoiding being lost in a vortex and spiraling out in negativity by trying to cling to what's positive. So it's important that we don't stop them and we can join them because there is always something to be grateful for. There is always a silver lining. There's always something that works out even in the midst of the negative situation. There is always some good that's happening at some point. If you're not ready to join them, don't stop them. And if you are this person who is seeking the bright side of things, it is important that you offer that because we need as much positivity as possible in the conflict. However, while you are being joyful, while you are seeking the bright side, it is important for you to joyfully acknowledge the problem. Okay? So if these people are late, 15 minutes late to a 1-hour meeting, when they come in, they say, hey guys, we still got 45 minutes. And that's true. We do still have 45 minutes. But those late people also can say, guys, I apologize for the 15 minutes that I have cost us. And I value your time. And I'm grateful that we still have 45 minutes to spend together, right? That's how you joyfully acknowledge the issue and continue to move forward towards the positive, the light at the end of the tunnel, the bright side. Okay? So, in conclusion, I want to say where you find yourself in the midst of conflict. Are you an emotionally intense person who can't function until you get your feelings out? Are you a solution-oriented person? As soon as you experience a problem, you go right to the end of the solution. You go right to okay, problem solved, Or if you're a light at the end of the tunnel person where you immediately start talking about the bright side, what there still is to laugh at, what there still is to be joyful for. All of these things are essential in resolving a conflict. We need to know how people are feeling. Because if we don't understand how people are feeling, then we cannot create products and experiences and do a better job at increasing the quality of human life without understanding how people feel. So the emotional intensity is necessary. If we don't have solution-oriented people, then we'll just be sitting around talking all day and we won't actually evolve anything. We won't actually get to a better solution, right? And if we don't understand the bright side of things, then we will all spiral out in this negativity and we won't have any hope. We won't have any perspective. We won't have any way of knowing that, yes, this is bad, but it's going to get better. So we need all three perspectives. The goal, though, is not to stop those perspectives. The goal is to accept those perspectives, and when we are having the perspective, to make sure that we're offering our perspective at the right time, and we're offering our perspective in a way that is loving and graceful and not trying to change the perspective of another person. Hey, Telly. So it's important for us to do this because this will transform how we respond to crisis. And if you have a life where you don't experience very much crisis, I don't know where you live or what you do, but I want some, right? But if you're in my camp, if you're in the group of folks who navigate conflict and navigate awkward conversations and situations every day, it's important for us to recognize how everyone's response is a contribution so that we don't start a bunch of sub-conflicts within the conflict, okay? If you have an emotionally intense person and you just regard their feelings, you're going to start another fight about them proving their feelings are important. If you have a solution-oriented person and you dismiss the solution because you're not quite ready for it, then that person is going to start campaigning the need for the solution, which is a sub-fight within the fight. And the bright side person, if you don't at least acknowledge that the bright side is there and there is truth to what they're saying, then they're going to start fighting you about being negative. How many sub fights do you want to start within the original fight? Or do you want to get back to loving and laughing and having a good time and being productive? So what I just described to you is called the harmonic groups, and it's a part of the Enneagram work. And tomorrow night at the how many? What I just described is the harmonic groups, and that's within the umbrella of the Enneagram work that we'll be doing tomorrow at the Heinz Center. I'm going to walk with you through how each individual type responds to conflict and how each individual type has an opportunity to avoid, de-escalate, and eliminate conflict as we move through life, accomplishing what we want to accomplish, focusing on what we want to focus on, and offering our perspective to other people at the right time, in the right tone, and in the right place. So it's been 16 minutes. I only want to spend 15 of your time. Please DM me, send me messages with any questions. The link to the Heinz Center workshop is in my bio. I'm also gonna put it here in the Facebook chat. Listen, y'all, I'm really excited about how much we can improve our relationships, our marriages, our friendships, our working relationships, how we can improve as parents, how we can improve as citizens in each other's lives by just understanding and accepting ourselves and each other for where we are.